But assuming that you're going to go forward with a motion, if anybody has any other feedbacks or for staff or things that we should be thinking of in the meantime as we are potentially taking more time to understand this, maybe we should talk about it now.
I plan to make that part of my motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Chair Hirsch, fellow commissioners, I move that we continue this public hearing to a date specific, mainly May 16. That's Planning Commission meeting. That's 60 days from now. I hope to get a second, and then I would like to speak to support of my motion.
Second.
Thank you. So it is clear.
If we can just, I think we need to correct the date. Pardon me for the interruption. The third Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 20th, yes.
20th, correct.
All right, May 20th.
And
Mark your calendars out there.
just to ensure that the second of the motion accepts that change. Perfect. Sorry for the interruption.
All right. It is clear that none of us are prepared to vote this evening, either to support the project or to deny the project. We clearly need additional information. What I would suggest is that we give some staff some specific recommendations rather than just saying, give us more information. Let's give them some specific things that cause us concern or that we need help with so that we can make a determination, because ultimately we are going to have to vote either yay or nay on this project. So that's my motion, and since I made the motion, the specific things I would ask staff to investigate. I'm not a CEQA expert. Staff has come to, I'm going to call it a preliminary conclusion that CEQA does not apply. I'm not an expert, but I'm not sure that's correct. So I would ask to go back, please, and now in the context of comments that have been heard this evening, see if CEQA does apply, if shadow is going to cause mold, if other things might come into play. So let's go back and re-examine, does CEQA apply? Secondly, fire, health, and safety. Commissioner Harmon, I thought I had a brilliant idea, and that was, it's a 50-foot tall building. By code, it's going to have to be sprinklered, but it's 50 feet high. So my second thing is I would ask that we have a specific conversation with LA County Fire. How would they handle this? Do we have the equipment with engine number 100, or are they going to have to call on their mutual aid agreement with Redondo Beach to get the hook and ladder, and how long is it going to take to get here? I think the idea, and I'll address this to the counselor, I know that he has his hands full with both us and the city council, but I wonder if the idea of hiring a, let's call it a land use attorney expert who can give us the lay of the land. What else is happening statewide with builder's remedy? Do we have any case law yet? You know, we can look at Manhattan Beach, where they were sued by the builder on Rosecrans and Manhattan Avenue. And eventually the city did agree to builder's remedy, but that particular remedy also had 20% affordable housing units, which was the original intent of this particular thing. Coastal's interesting, but that's speculation on our part and probably realistically not on our bailiwick. It'll eventually have to go to coastal, and the city council is probably going to maybe want to know their options as well. So I'm not sure if that really should be investigated or at least discussed at this time. So those are my recommendations to staff, and Chair Hirsch, whoever else wants to recommend anything else, but that's in support of my motion.
I would be in support of your motion with a friendly amendment just to include a diagrammatic study on the building and its relation to the surrounding properties and the existing height limit.
Chair Hirsch, I apologize. I do have one additional request for investigation. The letter that we did receive from Rutan and Tucker, I thought had some excellent observations and points. One of the things that jumps out at me is the Housing Accountability Act. that clarifies that a city may require a builder's remedy project to comply with the quote objectable, quantifiable, and written development standards, so long as doing so does not render the project infeasible. That to me is worth investigating, so I would ask please to investigate that further.
Any comments from fellow commissioners?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, could you repeat yours, your comment again? I just want to make sure I have everything.
Mine was just to add to the list, just a study on the proposed building height in relation to the surrounding buildings and the city's existing height limit. North, south, and east. Any comments from my fellow commissioners?
Madam Chair, a couple of, well, I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
I do accept the proposal, and there were some other items in here. Scenic vistas, viewpoints, resources, visual character, building, site and design. I don't know if that might apply to some of the things you've already mentioned, but I certainly think we should consider that.
Anything else, Commissioner Flaherty?
No.
All right. Commissioner Hoffman.
Yeah, a question I think of the city attorney, and again, this is sort of our ignorance of this law. I know part of what the new law requires is a certain time limit, or limited, I guess it is, on the time and the number of hearings and so forth. Does setting a date certain, would this seem to, excuse me, into jeopardy on that at all, or?
No, so we are limited to a total number of public hearings at this level and of course the city council level, which is 5. So we will have to be cognizant of that, but a continuance to the May hearing is entirely appropriate in this circumstance.
And then, and I guess back to the original, or Commissioner Eisen's proposal, the shadow thing that raises the question to me then also, and I don't, again, one of those areas I'm ignorant of, there are certain laws now as it relates to solar rooftop access, and I just wondering if that comes into play here. It seems to me that we've had a project in front of us where that was an issue, that the design and so forth precluded the use of a solar array on an adjacent property. And as I say, I'm just talking off the top of my head, and I'm confessing my ignorance, but I would add that to the list of things that need to be considered.
One thing comes to mind on a project here in Hermosa Beach where the height limit came into play was that the tenant, it was a business, and they had umbrellas and trees on their rooftop deck, which exceeded the height line, and they weren't able to do that. So it needs to be mentioned if the umbrellas or any height that would be above the current height is accessible or acceptable or not.
All right, any other comments from my fellow commissioners, or? So I think we have a motion and a second to continue this to a date certain, which is May 20th.
2025.
2025, with some requests of staff to come back to that meeting with further information. I guess before we vote, is that the request that we've given of you guys is 2 months adequate time to compile and come back? And or maybe that's a question to the applicant, but planning manager Ortiz, I'll let you. Okay.
I believe that would be sufficient, and I'm just gonna, I think it would be sufficient for us to get back to you in 60 days. And then if I might just interject, there was a question at the outset of this item, about the noticing for Manhattan Beach, and 17 addresses in Manhattan Beach were noticed.
Great, thank you. All right, so there is a motion and a second. Shall we open up the vote? Okay. Okay, so the motion is to continue, and so the vote on my screen says request to approve. So I just want to make sure I'm voting correctly here.
Correct, yeah, that may just be a function of our software to approve the motion, but yes, the vote right now is not to approve the project,
Okay.
it is simply to approve the motion. Date certain, May 20th, 25, with of course the laundry list of further items that the planning commission desires to be investigated and brought back.
All right, the motion to continue this to date certain is carried, 5 yes votes. All right, thank you everybody for coming. We are going to take a 5